Justin was like, send this contract to somebody that's like worth 60 something $1,000. I'm like, my name is Anthony. I go by Last Curry on YouTube, and I'm a content creator. I've been a creator on YouTube for about 4 years. I primarily focus on creating content for gamers, helping them go from turning their passion of just gaming into a full-time career where they can do this full-time to be able to support their family and support their lifestyle. So I actually started streaming back in 2019 on a platform called Mixer. I came from like a marketing and sales background, and I came into the streaming world with that kind of mindset. I was just like, okay, how do I market myself? How do I position myself to really kind of stand out? If everybody's doing this, how can I be different? And I heard the common question of like, well, discoverability is a huge thing on Twitch. Like, people can't find you on these platforms if you're not making content. So I started to just like, there was nobody making content around the platform that I was streaming on, which was Mixer. So I was like, man, I got to like use Twitch and all the content that's out there for that and try to translate it into how do I use that for Mixer. So I started doing that, and I kept getting questions asked on my stream of like, oh, how you doing this? How you doing this? And I was like, you know what? Every time I learn something every single week, I'm just going to make a video on it every single week. That way, when people come to my stream, you know, I can just refer them to that video. The growth started pretty quickly. I think like in about 6 weeks, I got my first 1,000 subscribers. In 4 months, I think I was like at 5,000. So it started just to grow pretty quickly because there was no content being made on that specific platform. So I became like the guy for Mixer as the content that was generating there. My first sponsorship deal was as actually my competitor now, where they did a series of 12 videos where they just wanted a bumper ad in the front of my videos. I didn't know anything about negotiating, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was the first time you're like, oh, well, I was gonna make these videos anyways. Now I'm just gonna get paid to be able to make this video. I didn't negotiate. There wasn't no pushback or like, hey, this is the price that I want. It was just more like, yep, let's do it. Lock me in. And I signed the contract, signed the deal. I was only charging per time. And I was just like, okay, if it takes me this amount of time to make a video and do research, then I'm going to charge this amount of money. And if I can make this amount of money per video, and I could do this X amount of times per month, then that's going to hit my kind of income goal. So that's kind of how I was approaching it. And I started super low, and I started to get like big name brands kind of reaching out. And I'm just like, okay, like these are bigger brands that I don't want to like, one, give a bad first impression, and I don't want to burn bridges, right? Because if I put myself in a hole and then start charging this amount, when I try to come back and say like, this is what I'm actually worth, it's a harder conversation to have. So when I got my first, like, I guess like dream brand that I wanted to work with in my pool, I was like, okay, I'm negotiating with this brand, but I now they want to go deeper. Like, I got the first brand deal in place, but now they see the value in what I'm able to bring. They want to go deeper. And that's when I reached out to Justin to do a consultation call to talk about the specific actual deal. And then that opened up a lot of doors for me because it allowed me to see how he structured deals, how he packaged deals, how he would communicate with a brand. And that's made it a lot easier now going forward, where it's like that same framework that we spent an hour kind of discussing with that one brand now allowed me to like know like, oh, whoa, this is what I'm worth. And this is, and this is how I can structure this. And this is how I position myself to the brand so they can see why I'm asking for this amount. So it came to where it's like, asking for the money is not the issue. The issue was asking for the right amount of money that makes you uncomfortable. That's where I think that Justin opened my eyes to be able to realize like, hey, you're asking somebody to give you, you know what I mean, $1,000. And I'm trying to tell people to give you 18,000. Right. And it's just like, okay, wait, that's a huge like jump to go out there and ask somebody to be able to give you that. But just like anything else, the minute you do it the first time, I think the first time that that Justin was like, send this contract to somebody that's like worth 60 something $1,000. I'm like, whoa, it's a tough email to send, you know? I'm like, okay, but once you send it and you get the response back that's positive, it just reassures you that once you know how to position yourself and anchor that price point with value, this is why I'm asking for this because of this, and this all reinforces what you want to achieve. And this was going to allow me to be able to create those kind of results for you, is what made it a little bit easier. I landed my biggest brand deal since I've been since I've kind of like been on this journey. It's completely shifted like brand deals in general, right? Where it's like brand deals before, I would say, was an income source, but it wasn't something that was like super viable. Like, oh, I can count on this brand deal, you know, and this negotiations and these longer term deals. I think that's what's truly shifted. Whereas like it came off from like one video to like we're about to work for the next 3 months. We're about to work for the next 6 months, right? So it's like, okay, cool. For the next 6 months, I can guarantee on this sorts of income to be able to come in from this brand, and I'm building this relationship with them. So I think that's been the biggest shift. It's just like from a brand deals perspective, it's almost become now a more sustainable kind of source of income that's a little bit more long-term and predictable than what it was before. I mean, I can go on and on over that I learned from Justin. It's been super impactful, and it's kind of like changed a lot of the perspective of me of like being a creator and understanding the value that I have with the audience that I've built. Look, before you take any kind of brand deal, ask yourself this question. Do you even know who the brand is? If you know who the brand is, okay, cool. Ask yourself this next question, right? Would you use their product? If the answer is no, then, then it's not worth approaching that brand or working with that brand unless you plan on utilizing their product. Don't just take the deal just to take it. Really understand that what you're building with your audience and your community is super valuable, and you're becoming a bridge for a brand, right? So don't taint that relationship for a few dollars up front. Think about the long-term game and play that, right? So if you do know the brand and you do use the product, then okay, now we can start talking about, okay, how do we integrate this product into our content, to our channel? The next thing, is pricing, right? How do you price yourself? How do you structure yourself? And then majority of the time, I'm like, you need to go check out Justin more, right? You need to go check out the content, because it's like, that's kind of what I did for a long time. I just try to consume everything that he had available for free. And I tried to connect as much of the dots as possible until I was like, okay, like it's time for me to pull the trigger. Like there's things that I'm missing that I'm not getting in the content that I just can't connect the dots on, that I need to learn from him directly. And that's kind of what I would encourage somebody to do and the steps to take.